Hi, I'm Mike Halverson, President of Shooting Range Industries, LLC. Thanks for taking a moment with us today so we can introduce to you our full line of shooting range equipment, including bullet traps, stall walls, target retrieval systems, HVAC and design, and our modular range solution, ReadyRange. So take a moment and let us share with you what we have to offer. Here we are to show our Shooting Range Industries CR3600 rifle-rated bullet trap. As you can see, we have two bullet traps here side by side. Each bullet trap is for one lane, 3.5 feet wide by 7.6 tall. All the steel in the bullet trap is AR plate, and it's less than 30-degree angles to give long life of wear on the steel. As you can see, as any bullet that is shot into this aperture is funneled up into a slot, which goes into a rear cylindrical drum, which spins the bullet around until it runs out of inertia and falls harmlessly into a bucket. Here, connecting our two bullet traps together in a modular design is our knife edge connector. This is made out of AR steel and is built for less angles to give a long life of service and durability. Let's move around the back of the bullet trap and show you some functions around here. The bullet trap in itself is only 8 foot in length. This is a good advantage for you as a range owner, as square footage for your building and for your equipment costs money. A lot of the bullet traps on the market take up anywhere from 12 to 15 foot in length. So this allows you to not have a large of a building and still facilitate being able to capture full rifle rounds. As you can see here, we have two sections of the bullet trap. The rear section is welded together and is designed where it fit through a 3/0 door, so you have an easy time getting your range equipment inside of your building. After the bullet trap is set into place, we have these bolt-on extension plates which bring it out to its full height and width. We also have you slot the floor 1 inch, so this bullet trap is designed to sit down into the concrete so no rounds can escape underneath of it. One of the key components to the bullet trap and the uniqueness of its function to collect bullets and ease of doing that is the rear drum feature. As the bullet travels up into the bullet trap mouth, gets in the slot, it comes and is captured in this rear drum, spins harmlessly until it runs out of inertia and falls into our collection bucket down below. As you can see, we have these 2.5 gallon buckets which are easy to remove your lead from, or we can just unloosen the collar, lift up the lid, slide the bucket out, which would be full of lead, snap your plastic lid on, and take another bucket, slide it in its place. And that's all you have to your lead collection. No sorting, no sifting, no sand, no rubber, no water, no other contaminant other than just your raw lead collected and being able to ship off to your recycler to collect some money. Moving to the top of the bullet trap, we have a couple unique features. On top of the drum is this removable lid where you can do your quarterly inspections and make sure everything is okay inside of the drum itself. On top of the drum, we have a 6-inch collar with these heavy-duty duct connections that we supply with a damper. This is for you to be able to exhaust about 150 to 200 CFMs through each bullet trap to get rid of any of the freeborn particulate that might be floating in the trap from the impact of the bullets onto the steel. This is ducted into your filtration system and ties into your main system that your range would already have. We'd like to share our shooting stall product for Shooting Range Industries. The shooting stalls are an important component for any range. They offer safe placement for the shooter, place for the shooter to operate, and for the function and operation of the target retrieval system. So we'd like to show you some of the features on our shooting stalls. Incorporated into the shooting stalls is our target retrieval system. Here we have a recessed tray with both a function for target in and out and our sight light. As you can see, we have a nice wide flat shooting tray, so when the shooter is in here, he can store his weapon, his ammo. He doesn't have a need to turn around and go to a back wall. This tray flips down to access our fold-out shooting barricade, so we can do left hand and right hand barricade shooting. As we mentioned, the shooting stalls are rated to protect the shooter from any errant rounds from a neighboring shooter. These come both rated in pistol or rifle rated rounds. As you can see, the depth of the shooting stall also lends itself to complete shooter protection. The full width of the stall is armor plated or ballistically rated to whatever weapon we're firing inside of here. We've also made the stall wall taller so the brass doesn't eject over the top and hit the neighboring shooter. A target retrieval motor control box is built into the control beam. This is the drive system for the target retrieval system, both for our hard rail and for our trolley wire systems. For demonstration purposes, Jake's standing here with a weapon that's open and no rounds in it. But as you can see, with his weapon extended, he is not past the end of the shooting stall. Therefore, the neighboring shooter will not get the muzzle blast. You can also see if he is to turn to his left or his right, he will not be able to get around into the neighboring lane. So this is one of the factors of the design of our shooting stalls, is making them deep enough to protect the shooter next door. Also, one of the features of the shooting stall is the width of the stall. We've designed the width of these stalls to match the width of our shooting lanes and our bullet traps, of being 3.5 feet on center. This allows plenty of room for a shooter and even for an instructor to stand in here with the shooter, but at the same time we're not wasting additional space for the range and making it too wide where you have to have more building space, more square footage cost, and larger HVAC systems. Hi, it's Mike Halverson with Shooting Range Industries. Joining me is Jake Cook. We're here today at Range 702 in Las Vegas, Nevada. This is one of the high quality shooting facilities here in the United States, with a large amount of retail space, gun sales, a nice 25 position shooting range, full restaurant, and a lot of other amenities with a private VIP area, making this one of the nicest shooting facilities that we've seen in a long time. So we're going to go through the range today. We're going to show you some of our products in real life situation that have been in heavy use for now over 2 years. This range has a lot of tourist attraction, a lot of machine gun shooting, and has really taken a lot of wear and tear, and has held up very nicely and is functioning very well. So we want to show you what we have to offer here today with our products implemented into this high quality shooting facility. So here we are downrange. We want to talk about ceiling plates and target retrieval system. This range we're in is a highly trafficked range with a lot of tourist attraction, a lot of machine gun shoot, which is a good example of showing how much punishment these ceiling plates that we've provided have taken. These are 1/4 inch AR-500, and as you can see, they've taken a lot of a beating, and there's no degradation. They're not bowing. They've stood up to the heavy use of this range. As you can see, we have the target retrieval system hanging off the top of here. And Jake's going to talk about how this is mounted off of here and how it's installed.
So what we have here is the ceiling baffles we have pre-slotted brackets for the hard rail system, so it allows for a bit of adjustment when you go to line this thing up to center line it. Everything we have is modular in design. All the ceiling baffles overlap, as you can see, from side to side. That allows for no exposed joints for bullets or fragments to get through. The rail systems themselves come in 10-foot sections, so if a section of this rail gets damaged or shot up, you can actually replace it. Just pop it down, fold a new section in.
One question we constantly get asked by a prospective range buyer is about the ceiling plates, how they're installed in the building. One of the biggest questions is how are they fastened to the wall, how are they connected, how does that give us a tight joint so we get that bullet protection inside of there. Jake, how do we accomplish that?
Let me show you mine. What we have right up here is the ceiling baffles themselves. They have a pre-welded flange that's punched. It has holes where you can basically drill directly through those holes right into the wall, be it concrete, 6-inch concrete tilt-up, or the 8-inch CMU block wall. You can basically drill right through and fasten that with Tapcons. One thing we need to be clear of and sure of is that nobody utilizes the L-hanger brackets chain, and the bolt-up assembly for suspending the baffles, none of that is to be utilized against the wall. These just anchor directly in the wall, and then if we do use the armored walls, you can just tack weld that and paint it.
So it's a very complete system. Installation is very fast, and as we've mentioned, it's something that's damaged or does see excessive wear, it's easy to take it down, replace it, and not have your range down for a long time. So as we talk about range design, range layout, what is best for your use, your facility, this is a good example of a large range, but instead of building it in just one wide open bay, they have bays of 6 and one bay of 7. They also have 2 bays out of that 7, which is standalone for a simulation system. What this allows you when you're operating your range is when your range isn't totally full, you can shut off one of the doors and you can run just this individual bay of 6 lanes. Therefore, you don't have to run all your HVAC systems and your electrical. You can run just this bay by itself. It allows you to divide your range up for when you have classes that you want to have at the same time while you're having your general public shooting, or you have special events. This range also happens to have a special VIP area that can close off the last 5 lanes just for the VIPs. So when you're going to design your range to lay it out, you might want to consider, instead of having one large open bay of say 10 or 12 or 15, to divide your range up into separate bays so you can shut the doors and operate each one of them individually as your requirements and your range fills up for the day. So this is it's a great example of a very high quality range that was well thought out, well designed, and allows for them to basically segregate the range and use it any way they want.
So in this bay, what we have here is 2 isolated lanes that the range is segregated off about 35 feet down range. These 2 lanes were set up specifically for a simulation system. So if you look down range, you can see the pop outs of the armor. What we actually have down there is a swing out Lanatex curtain to where it can be swung out of the way, the hard rail sections put back in, and then you can utilize this for normal full 25-yard lane shooting as well. And then this has a dimmable lighting system to be able to bring the lights down low to project images and scenarios onto that screen that are all live fire and judgment simulation training. So what we have here is a simulation system that's been added to an existing range. What we've done is we've basically taken and put in the sensor apparatus. All the cords and cabling is ran down from the computer location to this location. You have a swing out screen via this bracket here. This thing actually swings over out of the way. As you look over here, this curtain will swing right over here up against the wall and drop into this bracket for stowage, so you can actually utilize these lanes for full 25-yard fire when the simulation system's not in use.
So as we've talked about adding a separate simulation bay or system to your range, this is a good example of how this was incorporated into this 7-lane bay. Whereas they took and ran a wall down about 35 feet and made 2 separate bays just for the simulation system. As you can see from this shot, where we had the swing out screen that we showed you earlier, and then you have 4 more bays connecting onto this side. So this is a double purpose use, a bay where we can corridor off and use a simulation system for 2 lanes by itself, and you can run that in conjunction at the same time as you have 4 more shooters shooting just regular target with the target retrieval system in the other 4 bays, or you can open it up and use it for a total of the 6. Hi, I'd like to introduce our Ready Range product. This is a complete modular shooting range built inside of a shipping container that has 2 complete firing lanes, complete ballistic rated, all the range equipment, stall walls, bullet traps, target retrieval system, all the lighting, HVAC for a complete range that can be delivered to your site. And once power is delivered to it, you're ready to walk inside and shoot. Outside the Ready range, we're going to talk about some of the features out here. We have a R19 insulation wrapped completely around the range for R value. We have a K&R 500 panel that's available in about 20 different colors. This is a factory painted material that has a 20-year guarantee, not the chip, crack, fade, or peel, which will give you longevity and basically no maintenance outside of the range. This range also has a equipment screen on top of it, which hides the HVAC equipment, which is an available option. So here's our entry door with a variety of locks. We can also make this available with a complete safe door, so the whole range becomes your gun safe where you can display and store your weapons. Inside the range door, we have our secondary ballistic door. This is an AR plate, which gives us our ballistic rating for the complete range even at the entry. So let's go inside and we'll show you some of the features inside of there. So here we are at the front end of the Ready range, and I'm going to have Jake share some of the features that we have here for the shooters.
All right. So starting here, we have typical 120, 230 volt single phase that we can actually do these systems up to 208 three phase or 460, 480 volt three phase with step down cables. We have our thermostat. This is going to control fan, velocity, air temperature, heating and cooling, all built in, all consolidated into one system. As we move around, this is the air wall setup. What this is a perforated air wall to allow laminar airflow from floor to ceiling, typically measured in 1, 3, and 5 foot increments. So you get a nice even airflow of 50 to 75 feet per minute across the firing line. Okay, and what we have here is our analog magnehelix gauge. These are typically installed in sets of 2 per module. You'll have one for the range pressure, which reads out and gives you a full differential pressure reading from the inside of the range to the outside of the range. What that does is it ensures that all your equipment's operating correctly and ensures that you have a constant negative pressure within the range, so you know that there's no airborne particulate being pushed out of this space into the outside residual areas, so you don't have lead and gunpowder and other contaminants going outside. You'll also have one of these for the filter rack, which is going to show the pressure, the differential pressure across the stages of the filter bank. So just from a glance, you can see that your filters are good, or they're bad, or they're coming up on being bad.
So if you caught some of our earlier explanations of some of our shooting range products, such as our shooting stalls, as you can see here inside the Ready range, we have 2 complete lanes. We use our standard shooting stalls in here, which have all the same features of shooter protection, both ballistically in the jacket, either for pistol or for rifle. They still have the same depth in them, so we get the protection in between the 2 shooters. We have the fold down shooting tray, and we have the optional swing out barricade. We also have the same type of motor control system for our target retrieval system. And this one we have shows both our trolley cable system, which is a very simple and durable system. Target car, all of our faces and all of our materials, we don't use any standard angle irons except for just on the target hanger itself. But this is a simple system that runs off a stainless steel cable, is moved back and forth with a puller cord, and it's inexpensive, and it's also very easy to maintain. If one of these is to get shot down, you can restring a lane in about 15 minutes. You can see that we have the drive unit up here, which drives that back and forth. And we have a LED sight light here for the individual shooter if they want to have extra light inside of the shooting stall. On this side over here, we have basically the same type of target retrieval system using the same drive unit, but we offer a hard rail system which prevents the sway and the moving of the target. Once again, same type of simple target hanger. This will be a consumable unit. I can trust you that unless you're an individual expert shooter, but in a commercial application, these will be a consumable part that will probably get shot up and will need to be replaced after a period of time. But as you can see, this is basically the standard components that we can offer both in our brick and mortar ranges and what come inside the Ready range. Moving down range in the Ready range, we're going to talk about the bullet traps and what we have down here.
So what you see here is 2 positions. Every Ready range module set up as a standard as an individual isolated module. Okay, this thing is scalable, it's expandable. We do that for that specific reason of integration, and then basically once a demographic grows or your clientele grows, you can add modules from there. But the base unit has 2 complete shooting lanes. This is our typical bullet trap. These are actual pistol traps. So this thing right here is rated for 2,000 feet per second. This shows everything integrated within the Ready Range module itself. Same knife edge connectors, bullet traps, extension plates, but all integrated within this unit itself.
Here we are on top of the Ready Range showing the HVAC system. Air quality is one of the most important factors of having a functional range. Without good air quality, we will not be able to pass EPA standards and OSHA for the quality and safety of the shooter inside. So all Ready Ranges come complete with the full HVAC package. We supply heating and cooling. We supply secondary heating for colder climates. We supply all the ductwork, armored elbows for the penetrations through the roof. So even if we were to get around up inside of one of the AC ducts, it would still be contained with a ballistic armament. It comes complete with the exhaust fan and HEPA filter system, which will help you meet all your requirements for good air quality and safety. Back behind the Ready Range, we want to show you the ease of the lead collection and what the bullet traps look like back behind here. So here we have 2 bullet traps. These have been in use for about 8 years back here. But as you can see, we have 2 bullet traps. We have our lead collection buckets down below. And as we showed you before, your lead collection is as simple as sliding out the bucket, sliding it back in, and that's how complicated your lead collection is. That's about as easy as you're going to get on any system that's offered on the market today. And as you can see, moving up on top of the bullet trap, we have our double ventilation system that goes into a common plenum that is filtered up through the HEPA filter system on top of the roof. So we have Sonics back here for sound attenuation, which helps keep the system quiet to the outside and the neighborhood. So this is a very compact, very complete, ballistically lined modular shooting range available to the public and to commercial and military interests. Now that we've showed you the major features of the Ready Range, we want to share with you the next exciting thing that's available in shooting. And this is the live fire simulation system offered by Milo. What we have here that we've hung here in the Ready Range in front of the bullet traps is a 1/4-inch self-healing Linatex screen. Each one of these dots that you see on the screen is where bullets pass through. So we're using this as the projection screen. Then in front of the screen we have light sensors that put an XY coordinate of light in front of the screen that tracks the shadow of the bullet, so it can score the bullet as it's going through the screen. Back up here to facilitate that, we have the projector, and this system also has the feature of not only live fire but also of lasers, so we can train with lasers inside the range or we can train with live fire. And we'll have Jake Cook further share some of the great features of this exciting target shooting system.
Okay, what we have here is the operating system for the Milo Range Pro system. Okay, what we're going to do is just click right here on the live fire. It's basically making you aware that you have live ammunition. Yes, we know that. That's good. Okay, and we roll right into the live fire training scenarios. We'll go ahead and show you a couple of capabilities of the scenarios themselves. So let's follow up with that.
So instead of shooting paper targets, here we have sliding targets that are simulated the same way, but will automatically score for you while you're shooting them instead of shooting paper. I want to take this moment to say thanks for taking time to let us share with you our range products and our modular range systems. So please contact our office, or you can visit us on the web at shootingrangeindustries.com.
So Mike, let me ask you, on our bullet traps here, these knife edge connectors, what's required as far as maintenance and replacement on these?
Well, we've made these as a consumable part, okay? There's nothing in any range that's not going to take a little bit of maintenance. I mean, after all, we're firing bullets at it. So basically, the only maintenance you're going to have on our whole bullet trap is this knife edge. It is designed, as we showed earlier, it pops off, and you can take a grinder and dust this off, or you can just do it right here on the spot. A little bit of dusting, but after we've had some of these in use for 5-10 years, and the owner finally says, hey, they've been finally shot up enough where I can no longer dust them up and repair them, and it's just a consumable part. It pops off, you can purchase a new one and it slides back on. That is about the only part on this trap that you're going to have to replace after a lot of wear and tear and a lot of shots fired. So that ease of maintenance is basically all you have for this bullet trap.
Let me ask you another question. With regards to our bullet trap versus some of the others out there in the industry, why would we want to go with a trap like this versus, let's say the horizontal apparatus steel trap or a rubber trap as far as footprint, building square footage, those types of things?
Hey, anybody knows that when you go to build a range, square footage costs money, okay? And how much square footage are we going to use in installing a bullet trap into a range? This bullet trap here takes the smallest footprint of any bullet trap on the market that has a lead recovery system like this. This bullet trap is a max depth of 9 feet, and so your footprint inside the building is much smaller. Some of the other bullet traps on the market versus a steel ramp trap, a horizontal design, or a rubber trap can take up to 15 feet of depth in your range. So you're going to have to build your building larger and spend that money for square footage just to house the trap. Whereas we save you the money on your initial cost of your building square footage, because our bullet trap takes up about half of the footprint of the other traps on the market.
And can I get more lanes of this bullet trap in based off the modular design than a typical installation with one of the other competitors' products?
Well, as we've talked about, our 3.5-foot design allows you to get more lanes in your width. We feel like a 4-foot or 5-foot bay is a lot of wasted space, and here again, a lot of square footage that you're not only going to have to pay for initially, but that you're going to have a larger HVAC system because you have more cubic feet and more air you're going to need to operate a system in that size of a range. So we've come up with this modular design of 3.5 feet on center per bay, which allows you to optimize the number of bays you can get inside your building and therefore make more money and income because you can have more shooters in your range at one time. Here inside this range, we want to really talk about real life use and real life activity and what's going to take place in your range. Anybody can sell you a nice product that looks good in the brochure, it's painted, it's brand new, but what does your building, what does your range system look like after it's been in a range like this that sees heavy Taurus use, machine gun shooting, bullets going everywhere, not as controlled as a lot of marksmen would be shooting. And as we're talking about building construction, Jake, what kind of wall should we have inside the range?
We typically have, what you see here, this is an 8-inch cinder block solid grout filled. So what that means is that every single cell inside these cinder blocks is filled solid with concrete, pumped clear full all the way to the top. And what that gives you is a typical level 8 or rifle rating on a range like this. We can also do this with a 6-inch solid concrete tilt up, and they're basically just come in panels, they stand them up and weld them together at the seams.
Jake, can we do any walls other than concrete or cinder block?
Absolutely. We've worked with ranges and facilities that have done retrofits and tenant improvements where they've had 2x6 or 2x4 frame walls with insulation, where we've come in and actually lined the walls with 3/8 or 1/2-inch AR500 plating to help utilize that for a ballistic rating for the exterior wall.
Well, as you can see from this wall here, and this is probably a pretty extreme application, but as you can see, this has taken a lot of punishment because this is a machine gun range, and like I said, it's a lot of people shooting in here that probably haven't shot before. We can also see a good example of how the ceiling plate has protected the shots from going too high, and you can see the splatter coming down the wall where these bullets have impacted right at the joint of the wall and the ceiling plate, and they've been directed down to the floor and into the bullet trap. So this is a great example of not a sugar-coated application, but a range that has seen heavy use and still is very operational and is functioning very well.
Yes, Mike, I think you've hit the nail on the head. I think this range sees about 2 to 3 million rounds per year per lane, which far exceeds the national industry standard of 1 million rounds per year. So I think it's safe to say there's a good 5 to 6 years of wear and tear on this range compared to a normal brick and mortar range at a different facility in a non-touristy environment.
Let's talk about ceiling height and the construction of a range. A lot of people have a lot of questions when they start investigating to put in a range as to how do I build my building and how do my ceiling plates go in and what are heights and what are dimensions. So what do we have here for heights, Jake, and what kind of angle do we have on our ceiling plates, and how are these implemented in the building to protect the ceiling?
So basically what you have is a ceiling plate that's set up on an angle from 8 foot to 10 foot, and what that does is it allows like Mike mentioned, the bullets to be deflected down into the bullet trap at a safe angle as to not cause any ricochets or backsplatter. As far as ceiling height goes, we want a minimum height typically of 10 foot to 11 foot. Anything higher than that, you end up having to close the thing off and isolate that for optimum HVAC airflow. And that's something that's just an additional expense. So if you can avoid that, great. If not, there's always that situation.
And as you can see in this range, that's what they have done. They have dropped the roof to approximately 11 feet. We've got the ceiling plates hanging from 10 foot to 8 foot. And as you can see, the plates are spaced out. So no matter where we are at the firing line, this is a static range. We shoot from the firing line. If a person was to lay on the floor and was to try to shoot up to the ceiling plates are laid out in a manner that they will always strike the ceiling plate. The bullet cannot get up and get to the ceiling, and the bullet's directed down range. So it makes for safety, but it also it lowers your costs as a range owners. You don't have to totally cover and encapsulate your whole roof with steel. The ceiling plates are laid out where if you're shooting from the firing line, then your ceiling is safe. Your light fixtures are protected. Your HVAC ductwork is protected. Even in this range here, you can see they have a fire sprinkler system that's protected. So that's the layout of the ceiling plates.
Let me ask you a question. Some of the other manufacturers and entities have actually specified a concrete lid. Is that an advantage to a range owner or disadvantage based off the ceiling plate layout that's typically provided?
That's a huge expense to try to encapsulate the whole structure in concrete, and it's not necessary. We have done over 350 brick and mortar, commercial and private ranges here in the United States, and I can't think of maybe a handful that have gone to that extreme step to do that, where the rest of them have used our ceiling plate layout. They've used an open truss ceiling, regular standard construction, either wood or out of steel, and they haven't had to go to that. They get the full protection of the ceiling with the ceiling plates. So that's an unnecessary expense in our opinion, but each to his own. So we like to have the conversation about why we feel our bullet trap shooting range industries is one of the best on the market. Obviously, there's a lot of different ideas and a lot of different manufacturers of different bullet traps. We feel for the cost and for the maintenances, we have the best bullet trap for dollar value that there is on the marketplace today.
So Mike, what about the people or entities that are interested in, say, a rubber bullet trap versus a steel? Why would they want to go with a rubber? Why would they not want to go with a rubber versus a steel trap?
That's all personal preference, but I would say for us, we feel the steel is superior because it's a lot easier to maintain. If you really dig into rubber bullet traps, they are not designed for high volume of fire. They take a lot of maintenance, a lot of downtime to mine the lead out of them. You can get hot spots of them. Take this range for instance. This is a heavy use machine gun fire range. And if you're shooting a concentrated amount of shots fired, you will get a ball or a buildup of lead, and you can't get hot spots in there, and those ranges can't catch on fire. So that's one of the objections that we feel is steel is superior.
So how much does a range owner typically recoup in lead reclamation from their lead just dropping directly into a 2-gallon bucket like we have, which can, you snap a lid on it, you slide the bucket out, you slide a new bucket in, versus having a rubber trap mined out? Isn't there range downtime, lead reclamation, replacement of media, breaking apart of the fire retardant that's on those products?
All those facts that you just brought into play into we feel advantage of the steel trap over the rubber trap. You as a range owner can recoup and recycle and receive a lot of money directly to yourself by being able to pull out these 2-gallon buckets, snap on the lid, calling your recycler, and receiving money for that. There's basically no downtime for you to collect your lead, and you can do it yourself. Versus a rubber system, you're going to have someone else come in. They're going to have to shut down your range. You're going to have to pull this rubber out and spread it all over the floor. They're going to have to separate the lead from the rubber. And then most of those industries that do that, they keep the lead money as the fee, part of the fee for coming in and recycling and cleaning out your trap. So you're losing the money from the income from the lead. You're losing the income from being down, how many days it takes to clean out your trap. And you're also spending reoccurring cost replacing rubber. The rubber is going to degrade. You're going to have to come down here and clean up the rubber where it falls off the slope and gets splattered out over the floor. You have to come down here and shovel that up, throw it back on top, and as that rubber degrades, you're also going to have replacement rubber to add on to replace what's been pulverized and broken down into smaller pieces. And as that stuff gets broken down into smaller pieces, the fire retardant is lessened.
So that's only a surface coating, is that correct?
Yes, it's a surface coating. So as that rubber breaks down, then you're going to lose that value of the fire retardant on top of the rubber.